Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I know it's getting close to lunchtime. Well, depending what time zone you're in. I'm well surpassed lunchtime at this point. But anyway, thank you for coming. Welcome to our first lap around the track, our year one Tableau journey at Nissan North America. My name is Dave Bobrow. I'm the Senior Application Domain Architect, Platform Architect for Tableau at Nissan North America. What are we going to talk about today? Talk about the agenda in a second. But what I'm here to talk to you about is what we did to get Tableau up and running at our company. We went from literally not knowing anything about it to 1 year having over 200 desktop users, 1,500 server users, a bunch of sites, and a whole bunch of interest into Tableau. How did we do it? I'm not going to go crazy about showing you about visualizations because that's not really what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm here to talk to you about how to communicate to your customers, how to get the word out, how to deploy it, and the best ways to do it. The way we did it may not necessarily be best for everybody, but this is the way that we decided to do it. So just by a show of hands so I can get an idea, how many people are new to Tableau? Okay. How many people have been using Tableau Desktop but have not used Tableau Server? Great. Okay. So let's get started. Just a little bit about me real quick. I've been at Nissan for 8 years. I've worked at other various companies. I've been at Nashville for, 20 years. As you can tell, I'm not a Southerner. I'm originally from Long Island. So for the few New Yorkers in here, I'm sorry about the Giants being 0-5. Don't want to go there. I don't even talk about the Titans. They're not much better. So anyway, so about this presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about our data management analytics team at Nissan North America, where I work. The first 90 days, how we got started. The second 90 days, the pass first turn and starting to get the feel. Giving it more power on the next 90 days. And finally, shifting into high gear, what we did to get to that first year, and then what happens beyond. So a little bit about data management analytics team at Nissan. What we are about, keep my notes here. We're about data governance, technology, service delivery roles, and data discovery, specifically tools, roles, and processes. We are the ones driving the technology with regards to emerging technologies, analytics, big data, and BI at Nissan. Everybody take the whiff. The new to us tool smell. Can't say car smell, but tool smell. In case you're not sure, there you go. So what was our objective in those first 3 months? Let's take that new Tableau tool around the track and see how it handles and who wants it. How did we do it? Well, we introduced an early adoption program. And what that was is we sat in the room and said, how do we get this out to the users quick? And what do we do to get them to adopt it? What we did is we bought 100 desktop licenses. And those were to be used for key areas of the business. We brought in a Tableau desktop trainer. Actually, she's in the room right now, and she's fantastic. She's sitting in the front row. That was for 15 key business stakeholders. We decided that, okay, we got these desktop licenses. We bought it. We bought a server license. We need to get some early advocates going quickly. We added a development, staging, and production server. It's like a traditional SDLC. We added 3 boxes. We accelerated usage and exposure of Tableau. So what did our environment actually look like day one? So walking in, again, not knowing anything about it, we just know that we have 100 desktop licenses. We've got a development box, a staging box, and 1 16-core production box. But we have some other issues. We are a massive business objects shop. Anybody in here, business objects? Web intelligence? A lot of users? Okay, good. I'm going to talk to you about a solution to that later on in the presentation. We're also a very large Informatica shop. We use Power Center, Data Integration Hub, Analyst, a whole bunch of other tools that we use with Informatica. We also have a whole bunch of data sources that we know Tableau is going to have to connect to, such as Oracle, SQL Server, DB2, SAP Business Warehouse, now HANA, and of course the traditional Excel and Access. Sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. The traditional Excel and Access. There you go. So, a checkpoint. What did it look like in our first 3 months? Just to do a quick recap, because it went pretty fast. All we did, we bought a desktop, 100 desktop licenses. We bought servers. What do we do with it? What did it look like? How much usage did we have? Not much. Out of the 100 free, and I will say again, free desktop licenses, we only had 30 people to take advantage of them. We only had 20 users on our server. Just got this server and just kind of sitting there idling, not knowing what to do. We had 2 Tableau sites. Is everybody familiar in here what the sites are? For those that haven't really used what Tableau server is, what a site is? Okay, all right. We had 2. One of them is called default out of the box. So that should give you an idea how much usage we've had. Our data sources were all local and manual. Well, at this point, my boss, and is in the room, and I'm not going to make eye contact with her, I said, hey, we've got to get some usage quick. We really need to start having advocates for our new tools. So, what did we do? Has anybody heard about the Tableau Drive methodology, and what is it? Okay, Tableau Drive, it's a methodology for scaling into self-service analytics. It's based on industry practices from successful deployments. It also helps for a faster, agile deployment. We took the Drive methodology and adopted it for Nissan. Tweaked it a little bit that made it roles that would best suit what we're trying to deploy. So in this case, when we got started, we had an executive sponsor, a champion, an administrator, a consumer, a consultant, and a project manager. Our Drive phases, we were in a discovery phase, just trying to discover what do we do? And foundation building. Keep in mind, when we got started with this, we were a business intelligence shop, not an analytics shop. We were using traditional BI tools, and now we're starting to transform to an analytics shop. This is what we had to do. It was a slow start. It was a start, but it was slow. How do we fix it? All right. Everybody in here see Field of Dreams? If you haven't, that is your homework for the weekend. You got to go see it. Kevin Costner, great movie. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you've heard this expression before, if you build it, they will come, but it's more of a whisper. Why did I choose this? Because when we bought this Tableau environment of 100 licenses and the 16-core machine license, the first thing our VP of IT said to my boss was, if you build this, will they come? Will people really start using this? Well, I'll show you a little while that the answer will be yes. So we went through the first 90 days, not much happening. Now we're going to the next 90 days. We're giving it basically a little more feel to it, getting an understanding of what we're supposed to do. And what our objective was to find a quick way to create a buzz about Tableau throughout the building. How did we do it? We scheduled a lot of demonstrations. I'm not going to lie, it's a painstaking process. Be prepared, if you are going to deploy Tableau at an enterprise level, be prepared to be the Avon lady or the encyclopedia salesman, for those that know what that is or remember it is, and spend a lot of time going to different areas of the business. But I promise you, it's worth it. It is worth it in more ways than you can imagine. You'll create synergies with different areas of your company, and it just is, it's a great way to get the word out. Word of mouth does wonders. We inform key business areas and the stakeholders about Tableau. The thing we've discovered when we started deploying Tableau is nobody in the business really knew about our area or what data was actually available to them to use at Nissan. Most of these people have little siloed locations, just like everybody's experience, of Excel sheets, access databases, or they're sending their data out to vendors to massage their own data for it to come back, and they've paid for it. How do we fix that? Well, done a lot of hands-on, done a lot of communication, but was it enough? Hey, I'm gonna give you a guess. It wasn't even close. So, we are at the 6-month part. Boss comes knocking again. Hey, we need to move faster on this. We need to get more adoption. What did we do to make an impact? We introduced the first annual Data Management and Analytics EXPO, at Nissan. What that is you're at a conference right now. We put on a conference at Nissan. We took over the entire downstairs of our Infinity Theater and the conference rooms, and we held a conference, an expo. And Tableau came here, Informatica came on site, because those were the two technologies that we were getting up to speed quickly. And what we were trying to do is to expose the tools, the technology, the data that we had available at Nissan in one big bang. And what we did was we sent out an invitation to key business stakeholders, the ones that are making the decisions about your company. And lo and behold, we got an interesting response. 70% of those that wanted to know about this were from the business, not IS. I should have said in the beginning, I'm part of the IS organization, our team is under IS, but there was 70% business, 30% IS. So what we did at this expo, and you guys can do something similar, is that we brought Tableau and an Informatica. We created learning tracks. We had an entire day. We had Tableau 101, Informatica 101, lots of hands-on sessions. There was nothing advanced. Want to take a guess why? Nobody was advanced. Everybody was on the same even playing field. So we all walked in together, all learning together, and it was fantastic. We had an emphasis about where your data comes from. We created 3 tracks of content for the novice and technical skill sets. And those are actual pictures. Those are not pictures that come from a standard PowerPoint slide somewhere. These are legit. These were our attendees. It was a fantastic success. So what I want to do now is that after we had the expo, we actually interviewed some of the key business stakeholders to get an idea of what they thought of the expo. And when we were at the expo, we took from these key business stakeholders some of their data and said, hey, let us play with the data. Let's turn that Excel sheet into something we can do with the visualization. And does it make sense? Do you like it? What do you think? So
data comes from so many different data sources, both first party and third party. And it comes in multiple formats.
We collect testing data, we collect programming data, and we utilize that data to determine trends and for defects primarily. What do we need to be working on to make the car better?
The data I didn't feel like was so much a question about quality. It was very manual.
You start duplicating data to produce these reports, and it takes a lot of time to recreate these reports.
And if it's one person pulling one data set, it's probably pretty accurate, but the next person may change a filter and our data starts getting inaccurate. And small changes in inspect filters will equal big changes in the data.
But we're just now starting to move into the world of Tableau, Informatica, those types of tools, which are newer to Nissan.
The future that we envision with Tableau, one source of data in a dashboard that would replace, say, 50 reports we have today, then the user knows what the number is. They're drilling down and applying the filters themselves, and they don't have to question, well, why is this report not the same as this report?
We do a lot of data gathering and just handing people data and saying, here, figure out what you need to do with this, as opposed to now we can actually deliver insights to people and information.
We're able to build a higher quality vehicle based off of good data. So if we recognize what our problems are, we can quickly get to the root cause of the problem through the data. It allows us to quickly get into the hands-on root cause problem solving onto the floor.
It'll allow us to have better insight more quickly on the business, so it'll promote change.
And being able to view the data or have it presented to the organization with visualizations that provide insights.
The information that we're getting from Tableau is a day-to-day information, it's a measurement, and it's something we can be proactive. And as we see things trending in a negative way, we have time to be able to react.
When we replace 200 reports with 6 dashboards and the users applying their own filters and getting their own answers, they won't have to question what they're looking at because it's one dashboard for say, fill rate, and they'll know what they're looking at.
Just the fact that we can quickly start problem solving without doing a lot of data analysis, let the program do the analysis for us, let us do it out quickly, we're able to quickly solve a problem, whether it be a warranty problem, whether it be an internal quality problem. So I think it does give us an advantage.
They're not having to go to different systems, different tools to compile this information. They have it right there in front of them when they turn on their computer every day.
These tools are really providing us with a completely new and better way for us to be able to do our jobs in the future, and is really going to be a game changer.
Interesting thing about that video, I don't know if some of you saw, there was an interesting looking heat map on there. And what that heat map was designed by somebody who, just like these people you saw in the video, never used Tableau before. Spent a couple of days watching some of the self-service training videos that Tableau has. Wasn't even in the class with us, actually. Learned stuff on her own, and what that heat map represented, or before the heat map, was an Excel sheet with, I forgot how many tabs there are, 20-something hours worth of work. What that represented was a schematic of the plant floor of a particular car that we manufacture. It used to be you would have to dig through these sheets, through these Excel sheets, try and do VLOOKUPs and crosstabs and all kinds of information to find where defects are, where there's been a slowdown in the production line. Took the heat map, took the data, built that, and now can get those answers in minutes and send it to people on the plant floor. That was a huge game changer. In fact, we constantly use this person as an example because it just showed that she wasn't an IS person, she wasn't a programmer. She had the ability to just learn it within days on her own and build some pretty impressive visualizations. So, that just gives you an idea of what some of these people now think of Tableau after coming out of that expo. At the same time we did the expo, we introduced our data management and analytics site. And what that was is we wanted to create a place where we could introduce ourselves as a friendly self-service environment. In case you figured out that at Tableau here, they push a lot about self-service. But in addition to self-service, we push citizen development. On this team site, what we include is everything about the technologies that our area is responsible for. Not necessarily just Tableau, about Informatica, business objects, we have Salesforce. We gave it a one-stop shop area for users to be able to find the information they need. We even put something on there where a user, when I was talking, for example, about business objects or web intelligence, users have come up to us in the beginning and said, you know what, I have these reports that do this, this, and this. Can I use Tableau? And I'll be honest with them. There's times I said, you're not using the right tool for the right job. It's better to say that because eventually, once they've reached a point where they said, you know, the operational report is okay, I need to be able to have analytic functionality, that's when you say, okay, let's introduce you to the analytics tool set that we have that you can use. So what we did is we created a decision tree, a very simple flow chart that says, if I want operational, go here. If I want tactical or strategic, go there. Specifically on that team site, we created something called the Tableau section. And guess what? It is every conceivable thing you could pretty much think of, we jammed onto this page. If you do not have this, or if you're going to be deploying an enterprise solution, please make a website that has this, because it will save you lots and lots of emails and lots of phone calls and a lot of redundancy. Users like the ability that we've learned to be able to go find things on their own. It wasn't like that in the beginning, I promise you that. The very first thing we did once we stood up the site, added that to our signature. Boss said, everybody on my team, guess what you're putting on your signature? And we did. Every time we send an email, hey, go to our team site. Very, very redundant, but it started working. So what did we put on our team site? Stats. People want to know, hey, who is using what? How many desktops users do we have? How many server users do we have? How many data sources? How many sites? What are the sites? About our server environment itself. Don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I'm running 3 16 cores, I'm running a 16 cores. Here's what our environment looks like. I promise you it's not someone's desktop just sitting under their desk somewhere that you pray no one trips the wire and it shuts down. We also have a section about announcements. That is where eventually people started going after they got tired of seeing my emails over and over and over. And I hear people laughing because those are people who work with me and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Just a simple, what is Tableau? I can't tell you how many times we get emails. My boss gets emails saying, hey, I keep hearing about Tableau. What is it? Yes, we can do a presentation. Yes, we can do a proof of concept, hands-on sessions. But the first thing we do is say, hey, why don't you go watch the video? If this is something that interests you, come back and talk to us. And then we will gladly demonstrate for you. Include plenty of resource materials. This website started originally maybe about 6 buttons or 7 buttons as we got started. It got quite a bit bigger. What we included in there is about our user group and Tableau monthly focus sessions, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. A stop for training material and information. Tableau has got a plethora of free training, and yes, I'm going to say free because everybody is budget conscious. Use it. It's there. It is a godsend. It has tons of free snippet videos. It's got recordings. It's got 1-hour sessions. On our site, we put links to some of the partners of Tableau. Why? Because they got great blogs. And how this started evolving is by the business simply asking me a question. Hey, Dave, I need a visualization that can do this, this, and this. I said, okay. So I went, and of course, I would just use my good friend Google. And I would Google some of these things, found some information, said, wow, it's a really cool blog. It's got a lot of good information. I think a lot of people would get some use out of it. Put a button on top of it, gives them a link, and they're off and running. My favorite site, or part of it, is the best practices and tips. What this is, this talks about best dashboard practice design, best about designing workbooks, about avoiding chaos, additional tips and tricks. And you see one thing called Site Administrator Guide. And this is where some of the people in the room who've been to some of the other presentations may just go, no, what are you talking about? Part of our self-service deployment is that we are starting to empower the users working in conjunction with the business to be a site administrator. And you say, well, why would you do that? Why? Okay, how many people in here wanted to get a simple report moved from a UAT folder to a production folder and had to wait, I don't know, a week? Or to have a user added, or to have a user removed, or to change something, okay? We are giving the ability for a user, a trained user, to become a site administrator working in conjunction with somebody from IS. And I'm going to use an analogy that my boss uses quite a bit, and I remember it vividly as a child going to it. For those that have been to Disney World, you thought, I'm going to go ride on the Grand Prix track. It's the coolest thing. It's race cars. It's awesome. Looking at it now, it goes 2 miles an hour, but at the time, it's awesome. You can turn left, you can turn right, you can go, you can slow down. You are in control. But you can't crash into anybody, can't fall off. Why? There's a rail guiding you. We're the rail. So we give you the ability, the flexibility to make the changes. If somebody has to become a project leader, make them a project leader. But we won't let them fall off the track. So another thing is that we wanted to create a simple process where users can request a Tableau desktop. Now, if you remember, I said we bought 100 desktop licenses for our initial early adoption program. But we knew after that 100, we're not going to keep buying anymore because if users have accepted 100, that means the business wants more. And at that point, they're willing to pay for it. So we wanted to create a way to allow users to make a very simple request for a desktop license. We weren't going to buy 1,000 licenses if we know they weren't going to be consumed right away. So it's very simple. They click a button, they put in their name, it automatically fills in based on their AD authentication, and they just basically have to check a box that says, hey, you want a Tableau desktop license? You're agreeing to pay for it. Okay, comes to me, I send it to Tableau, we get a license within about 2 business days. Everybody's happy. Simple. And finally, on here, one of the most important things is showing how to get help. A site is not good if you do not have that magic area that shows people how to find things and how to get help. Because inevitably, you have users, just nature of the beast, that says, yeah, I'm not going to read any of that thing. I need to get help. Give them the help information. So, just to show you what it looks like behind one of these buttons. We keep it very simple. So using the professional services best practices and tips, they hit a button, it gives them information. Hey, I want to know what a desktop versus interactor is. Keeping it very simple, but they don't have to call, they don't have to look, they don't have to Google. Keeps it simple. So that was a lot that just happened in that next 90 days. You didn't think it was going to go as quick as the first one. We have users now. So what happened? At the end of that 6 months is when we introduced the EXPO. So it was right at month 6. Well, we still have now 30 desktop users, but again, that's because it was at the end of month 6. I promise you it's going to change. So our number of Tableau server users, though, jumped from what I had before, 20 to 250. A number of sites went up to 5. Our data sources, something changed. We have the local and manual data sources, and that's fine because everybody is still getting their feet wet on the new tool. But we now have some certified data sources, meaning data that is coming out of our production environment, coming out of our production Oracle database, something that is being supported because last time I checked, you don't have a centralized Excel support team and centralized Access database team. Otherwise, they'd be making a lot of money, and I probably would have been signing up a long time ago. So, using the Tableau drive roles, again, I recommend you go, once you're back at your office, read up about the Tableau drive as you're deploying an enterprise solution. We have the champion, an administrator, a consumer, and a project manager. But because we now have certified data sources, we included a DBA on that. And our drive phases are discovery, foundation building, prototyping, lots of prototyping, and quick wins. Good progress, but guess what? Want more. So, I say that because our EXPO was the Big Bang Theory. We expected it, we anticipated, we bit our nails saying, oh boy, if everybody comes watch this, what is going to happen from this point forward? So we're going to build upon the success of our EXPO. And how did we do it? We introduced new Tableau server sites. I want to talk about this for a minute. And this is where there may be some differences when you've gone to some of the presentations that says, you don't want to put that many sites on. No, too many sites is wrong. No, it's not, and here's why. Because if you have multiple areas of your company that are not sharing data sources, if you know that HR is not going to be sharing data sources from the paint shop at your manufacturing plant, why would you keep it on the same site? You have their set of users, HR has their own set of users, keep them separate. You're not using the same data sources. If you're not creating redundancy across the data source, across the sites, it's okay to keep them separate. You can then control in the site the projects. They don't have sub-projects, but you can control the projects, create specific security groups. So again, that's why we started developing more sites. We provide, as I mentioned earlier, site admin training. When we added a site admin, they go through a 2-hour training with myself, and I watch what they're doing after the training. If I see things aren't going the way that I expect it to, they're no longer an admin. It's as simple as that. And what happens is they get partnered with somebody from our from our IS area who's also trained at the same time in the room with them. So it's not just they're on their own, and they still have the support, the rails, as I mentioned earlier. But it allows the flexibility of the business user, one business user per site. Let me clarify that. I'm not giving 50 people site admin access to that because that would be pure chaos. There's somebody in the business, somebody from our area, from the IS business analyst who is supporting that. And of course you have our Tableau server admins who are also on the rails. We created a simple desktop license request form, as I mentioned earlier. And most important, we introduced a support model. That is critical to success. So, what did we do? We introduced a self-service model. We gave users keys, we filled up the tank for them, we gave them a GPS and said, go drive, go. Another analogy which I used to say before is that we were a paint shop. We gave you the paint, the easel, the canvas, the brushes. And I'm not Van Gogh, I'm not painting for you, go paint. We gave you everything you need, go. And I'll be honest, the first times we started telling people this, they kind of look at us like we had 3 heads, saying, wait a minute, we don't have to outsource this, we don't have to contact somebody, no, you don't. So, support model. This is critical. For those that are not familiar with the Tableau Elite support, if you are going to deploy an enterprise solution, it is worth its weight in gold. And why is because for what you are paying for, you're getting support beyond the traditional sending an email to support@tableau.com. You are getting health checks. You are getting 24/7 support. You are getting support and recommendations when you're doing upgrades. If you are running into any issues, if something just doesn't look right, you can contact your technical account manager and saying, we are running into some issues. We need help and we need it now. And it's not like you're waiting for other, and again, I will not mention other company names, but you probably can guess some of them, where you're not waiting hours, if not days, for answers. You're getting rapid response. If you are deploying at an enterprise solution or enterprise level, you need that level of support. So what we did is I worked with our technical account manager to come up with a step-by-step process for a user to use to try to either A, figure out the problem themselves, and once they've reached that point where they said, I can't do it anymore, I mean, I've tried everything I can, then they would reach out to those that have to intervene and get involved with the Tableau technical account manager for support. Initially, it was hard to adopt because people are still used to picking up the phone and saying, hey, Dave, I need this doesn't work. Hey, Dave, why can't I get this, it was, hey, Dave, hey, Dave, hey, Dave. And the reason why this was like that is honestly because the environment that we built in, and I'm going to call it business intelligence because that's what it was, that was our support structure. Nissan, we don't have a team of 200 developers and support people. We don't, but we have to support a lot. So back 8 years ago, there were 25 business objects users at the time. As of now, we have over 90,000 registered unique ID business objects across our internal and dealer networks. So didn't have a support plan or model in place. You were looking at it. That was not going to happen. Boss wasn't going to let that happen going forward with Tableau. So what does this look like from a bottom-up and a top-down approach? Using those same steps, here's what it looks like. User tries to figure things out on their own. We give them the tools, we give them the links, we give them everything we can conceivably do to allow them to figure it out. Eventually, it started catching on. A lot less hey Daves were starting to happen. Not with everybody, but I would say at least a good 60% reduction of questions because users said, instead of, hey Dave, how do you do this? It became, hey Dave, I just went on the site and found this, but do you know when we're going to be upgrading next because I read it has this functionality coming in a new release. But wait, I mean, you looked on your own and you didn't ask? Wow, impressive. So what happens with this is that once we've reached that point where all resources have been exhausted and I said, yep, we have an issue. I need to reach out to our technical account manager. The technical account manager works with me. I explained the problem. We said, okay, we need to open a support ticket. The technical account manager goes on to and works with his magical elves back there to make some magic happen and come back to us and say, we found a problem. Or we found a solution. Most of the times it's a solution. Well, now that we started having users on our server, it was time to monitor server activity because as we had new Tableau desktop users, part of them showing them what to do was how to publish onto the Tableau server. Okay, well, we expect a little bit of hiccups, and there were, and there still are. But the biggest one we had is once I started noticing people calling me and saying, you know what, I published this, it's not running. Why am I not getting updates? And the funny thing is that the number one error that I kept seeing is I looked, when they were publishing, it said cannot find data source n/ or u/ this. And I said, Tableau server does not know what n or u or w is. It doesn't know where your local data is. You must put it somewhere where Tableau server can see it. Tableau server is not going to be sitting there trying to pull everybody's information. You're going to be putting it in a location that everybody or that the server can reach. Monitoring the server activity allowed me to find that, and it also allowed me to say, okay, who's starting to publish? How long are these extracts are taking? And it allowed those initial users to be able to communicate to me what kind of issues they were running into, and I said, okay, I look and I see that this is taking 2 hours. Why? Well, I don't understand why. There's only about 300,000 records. I said, why is it taking that long? Well, we have 300 columns. Time to fix that. So this is where the monitoring starts coming into place. Know your business areas, critical. These are our sites. If you look at the names of our sites, you will understand why we have different sites. We have different manufacturing plants. We can't lump everything into one plant and into one site and call it manufacturing. They have nothing to do with each other. They make completely different parts. They have completely different processes. They have completely different users, and they have different data sources. We have finance areas. We have our Canada location. We have total customer satisfaction. We have HR. Complete different areas, different users, different data sources, their own separate worlds. So, the question I asked earlier after the, if you build it, they will come, is it working? Yep, it's working. How do we know it's working? Less external resource dependencies. Users are starting to use the tool with their own data instead of saying, you know, I need to reach out to this area because they can build this for me really quick. No, it's I can build this data. You saw the video. I promise it wasn't smoke and mirrors. Those were end users who were building that just after learning Tableau a few days. Reduction in help desk tickets. This was a significant notice that we were getting tickets left and right to build this, move this, do this. We don't get tickets. The only tickets I get for Tableau related is I need a desktop license. And on average, we're adding anywhere between 5 and 12 a week. We're a big company. We've got a lot of areas. A lot more elaborate visualizations. Now, instead of just seeing the plain traditional, I'm comfortable with a chart, I'm comfortable with a graph, I'm seeing heat maps now. I'm seeing geospatial, seeing stuff from Mapbox, seeing integrated visualizations, a floor map of a plant. It's pretty elaborate stuff that just started developing, and the users were doing it on their own. I wasn't sitting there showing them, they were doing it on their own. My favorite one on this, an increased IT business collaboration meeting. I don't know how how much everybody in here is from IT versus the business, but I will say, just like most places, there is a brick wall between the business and IS. Just nature of the beast. I've worked on both sides, I understand. Our department has now using Tableau as the olive branch. So now instead of us going to the business and saying, you have to do this, you have to do this, it's, look what we have. Would you like to use this? If so, we're going to give you the ability to use this. We're going to help you. We're going to work with you. Now it's the businesses saying, hey, I'd like to use this. Can you give me some assistance? Can you do a demonstration? Absolutely. So now the friction is gone. Not completely, but a significant reduction. Also, an increased usage of our data marts and certified data sources. This is where my boss is smiling, because I know that's what she loves. Because of the EXPO, because that we showed people what data we have at Nissan that these people did not know. I cannot tell you how many times we've heard, we have that? We have data about our vehicles? We have warranty information? Really? We do? And it's in a database and we can access? Yeah. So we established solid data sourcing activities. This means, in the nicest way possible, I'm not sitting there like a deck of cards and dealing you ODBC data connections. That's what gets people into trouble. You don't do that because it becomes the Wild West. And if you do that, somebody could lock your database. You better hope you have a good DBA support to monitor what's happening. So, additional momentum on this. Keep building the excitement of our new product. How did we do this? We started using monthly Tableau focus sessions. Has anybody at your company started doing focus sessions? It's great. Call your Tableau rep. Ask them that you want to start doing a focus session. What it does is that they pick a topic or you give them a topic and say, you know what? I have a group of users that are really having a problem understanding level of details, understanding parameters, understanding how to do geospatial, or just efficient dashboard design. They'll do WebEx sessions. They'll have a session once a month or every couple of months, and you have your users advertise to them and say, hey, guess what? You really want to start watching this. This is really cool, and it's live, and they have questions, and it's great. And in our case, what we do is we ask the Tableau person doing it for us to record the session and give us the workbook. Why? Because as soon as it's done, they send it to me. I put it on as a link from our team site. So users all the time said, hey, Dave, did you put the recording up yet? Yep, it's up there. They go back. We keep every focus session they have as a point of reference. On-site Tableau doctor sessions or WebEx sessions. If anybody here has not experienced a Tableau doctor session, go to the expo hall here and experience a Tableau doctor session. It is worth its weight in gold. That it's one-on-one time with your doctor, but it's your Tableau doctor. So I don't think you want to discuss personal things outside of Tableau, but it's Tableau related, it's great stuff. We established an internal Tableau user group within our company. So we have a Nissan Tableau user group. We've met a few times. We generally have a packed house every single time. It's great. Why? Because we either bring in guest speakers. It could be from Tableau, it could be from another company. Or it's somebody in our company who wants to make a presentation saying, look what I've had trouble struggling with this visualization. I went through all of this research, rigmarole, and I got it to work. I'd like to share it with all of you. So everybody in the room, and a lot of people don't know each other, they get to see what everybody else in the company is working for. I don't care if there's 3 people in this user group. It's worth setting it up. And my favorite one here, keep the communication flowing. Again, I'm about to hear some people laugh. I send emails out to the point of obnoxious. I don't care. Why? Because we have an enterprise deployed solution here. People need to know. And as we're constantly adding new users, I'm not going to just sit there and pick and choose, hey, these 15 are new, I'm just going to send it to these. Nope. If I have an announcement, everybody's going to hear it, whether they like it or not. Of course, at the end of each email, I always say, hey, go to our team site for more information, but keep the communication flowing. Direct interaction with Tableau support. And for those in here that are Tableau employees, they'll nod their head in agreement. They love to help their customers. I will say this, I say it all the time. I swear I'm not getting paid to say what I'm about to say. I have worked with many companies over my 20-something years in IS. I have never worked with a company that truly cares about customer success more than this company. That is honest to God. And people in here who've worked with it should, I bet, feel the same way. Just fantastic support. Willing to go out of the way to make sure you succeed. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we invested in elite support. So, there we are at the end of 9 months. What does it look like? Whoop. Not only did we consume those 100 desktop users that were free for our early adopters, we had 20 additional desktop licenses purchased by the business. They wanted to start using it. Look what our site usage went up to, 900. Why? Because now that people, the key business stakeholders started building visualizations, they wanted advertised for their customers to see, and they can do it on their own. Number of sites, we went from 5 to 14, and a significant drop in local and manual data sources, and a lot more on the certified data source. So again, using that drive role, still have the champion, administrator, consumer, a project manager, and a DBA. And our drive phases were foundation building, prototyping, and quick wins. Again, a lot of prototyping that will always continue to happen. Great progress, but of course, we want more. Quote my favorite NASCAR driver, I want to go fast. Again, your assignment for the weekend, if you have not seen Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, you need to see it. It is a funny, funny movie. I promise you. And you'll understand once you see that. Shake and bake. That's right. Now you see me, now you don't. I will say this, funny you should mention that. A quick side story, my boss, my counterpart who I work with on the Informatica side, we have little signs. There's shake and bake, and my boss bought us presents. There's a shake and bake t-shirt she got for us, and I wear it, I love it. So there you go. So shifting into high gear, what's our objective? You remember in the beginning of this presentation, I asked, who here uses business objects? Specifically web intelligence. Okay? We are a massive Webby shop. So everything I've talked to you about this point was talking to you about the new Tableau users. Those that are just new to Tableau, but not necessarily new to reporting and our existing operational type reporting. We've got thousands of reports, a lot. We're a big shop. So what were we going to do? We can't just say, all right, effective today, you know what? You're not using business objects anymore. You've got to go to Tableau. We weren't ready for it. It's not appropriate. It's not, you're not going to sit there and forcibly make people whose sole function is to use an OLAP type, drill down, operational report that requires scheduling, bursting, all that, switch them over to Tableau. It would fail miserably. That's not its intended purpose. Use the right tool for the right job. So what do we do in this situation? Sitting there scratching our head and say, oh boy, we got a problem here because, you know, we spent all these years making these users adopt to the traditional web intelligence world where they're using universes. And there's nothing wrong with that because we are on the latest and greatest version of business objects. And for those that are not using business objects but have a similar situation with a traditional, I don't want to call it legacy tool, but a traditional tool such as a Hyperion, a MicroStrategy, where you have thousands of users on it and you don't know how to bridge them to start using Tableau, we were kind of shaking our head about this because we really didn't know what to do. Because if you open up your Tableau desktop, you see you have native connection to SAP BW, you have a native connection to HANA, you have native connections to pretty much everything except business objects. What do you do? You're going to sit there and have someone write some custom API or some custom Java that every time you upgrade the version of business objects, it may work, it may not work, or the version of Tableau. Speaking from experience, it's very difficult to maintain something like that. We wanted to find a solution that would help bridge the two of these technologies together. I was fortunate enough, after doing some research, to get in touch with a company called Analytics 8. And they have a wonderful product called Universe Bridge. They are a partner of Tableau's. They have a booth set up in the expo hall. I highly recommend, if you're in a situation where you're a Webby shop, go talk to these people. Because what does it do? What did it allow us to do? It allowed the users to continue using their Webby reports as their data source to Tableau. Why is that important? For those that are in a business objects environment or a Webby environment, just to tell you, you're using a universe. A universe is your metadata layer. It's your architected platform with all your joins, all your pre-filters, everything that has to be done in a controlled environment. So the Webby report's pointing to the universe is pointing to your database, right? All the security, everything is done there. You don't want to sit there and rip that all apart. What do? Well, they have a web data connector. That's all it is. It's a URL that they type in through, when you're in Tableau Desktop, you click Web Data Connector, you put in a URL, it points you to the BI Launchpad. Say, oh, there's all my reports. Well, in addition to that, you can use the query that the Web Intelligence report generates by saying query one, or if you have a pretty complex Webby report that's got 6 or 7 different queries joined together, and you just want to use the output block of data with your merged dimensions and your query and your calculations, you can use that block of data, and now that becomes your data source for Tableau. You can schedule it, you can make an extract out of it. It's fantastic. That instantly jumped our usage, I would say, somewhere about 50 to 60%. Now we have users who have the best of both. As a matter of fact, it's so simple that I happened to walk into a meeting last week, somebody else in the room. I was floored. This person was not only teaching the user how to use Web Intelligence because it serves a purpose for operational. However, they showed them Universe Bridge and how to create the visualizations on Tableau. So the users don't have to give up what they have, but now just took a whole different direction to be able to create forecasting and analytics using that same source. So if you want a way to segue your users base, either it be Hyperion or business objects, find a bridge. Find something that they can use, leverage at the same time because they're most familiar with that data. So we also expose users to published certified data sources, data marts, and the introduction of big data at Nissan. We're keeping our Tableau reference team site current. That is imperative to success. Don't keep stuff on there that's 6 or 7 months old showing your announcements. It is pointless to do it. Show the business that your site is evolving. Go out of your way to listen and assist. This is tough. Half my bottom lip is gone because I have to bite it sometimes because the requests that I get. But you know what? You have to do it. It's part of the growing. It's part of the evolution of getting this to succeed. And you match this is a great one. You match new users with other Tableau users at Nissan. It's not just business IS, it's business to business. Again, using that example about the floor plan, somebody from, I forgot which specific area, but called me and said, hey, I'd like to create a heat map that shows specific points when a delivery is happening. Do you know how to do that? I said, yeah. I said, but I'd like to put you in touch with someone who's got really good experience and will probably have no problem giving you a hand. And she did, and now you have different areas of the company talking to each other without having to go through IS. So, we finally made it. The final checkpoint, the first lap. What do our stats look like now? Again, at the end of 1 year. This is not now, this is 5 months ago. We went from no users to desktop users to 200. We went from no server users to 1,500. We went from no sites to 22. Very little usage, still available though, local data sources, and that's always going to happen, that's not a problem, but a significant improvement in the usage of our certified data sources from our data warehouse, for example. What are the drive roles? Still a sponsor, a project manager, a champion administrator, a consumer, a DBA, but because most of the data is now becoming certified, we now have to start looking with the author and a data steward. What are the drive phases? This is always happening: foundation building, prototyping, quick wins, and now scale out. Because of our success, so where are we today? That's what we started with. I'm not talking about our development and staging boxes, I'm talking one 16-core production machine. That is what we started out with. Well, fast forward to a little over a year later, and this is what we had to go to. So we tripled our Tableau servers. We added an active, a passive, and a worker server, a background server, excuse me. We have a gateway server and external load balancer, because that's how quickly we grew. So where are we today? I have to at least show a viz, and I will thank our technical account manager to give me assistance with this, actually. Looking where we started to where we are today. We started with 30 desktop users at the end of our 3-month checkpoint. We projected to hit 200 by the end of May. Yep. We're projecting to hit 300 by the end of October. We are 20 shy of it right now. So it'll be 20. I probably got a bunch of emails waiting for me when I come home. Our number of sites, we already hit it. We are at 27. Our Tableau server usage, we're about right now just under 200 shy of 4,000. An interesting side note, and I'll have to save this for a second presentation. I don't know if I'll do it, someone will do it. But remember I said about our usage being close to 90,000? Most of those are our dealers. We're about to experience that with Tableau here too. We are going to have to open Tableau server to our external dealers. We have almost 70,000 unique dealer IDs. A lot of dealers are going to go on the server. Hope we can handle it, but we're going to find out. So you'll have to stay tuned for that next chapter. So, not a bad first lap around the track. Who said that? Yeah, that was me. So I think I'm going to say. So I want to thank you all for taking the time. I know you're all hungry. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. And I'm around. If you have any questions, I'll stick around and answer them.